rotation. So we have a barbell set up into a landmine attachment, and we're using this as an anti-rotation drill. So as you watch the motion here, you will see my hips pivot, but what I want to point out here is that if I'm rotating to my right foot's staying fixed, which means my entire torso, pelvis included, is rotating around that planted leg, which means that my hip is what's moving, not necessarily my midsection. So when we reach around our body, the weight wants to pull us, hence the name anti-rotation. We're fighting that rotation, but the motion's coming into our hip. So feet hip width apart, you're gonna have your knees slightly bent, and then when we go through the rotation, you're trying to shift your weight toward the side you're rotating to where you'll notice that my left hip pivots, because that's my pelvis rotating. So I go up onto my toe on the left side, and I pivot over onto my right hip, come down toward my hip pocket, rotate back up and around toward the opposite side. A lot of people are pretty limited into hip internal rotation. So if you find that you get like a lot of discomfort, like a pinching sensation in the front of your hips, you can always widen your feet out. You can turn your toes out. So when you go to rotate, it'll allow your hips to move a little bit more freely. Then strength matters in this position, because the further you are away from the attachment, the heavier this bar is going to be. So if you go to pick it up and you get your arms locked out, I kind of like to lace my fingers together, and you go to rotate and you're like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to get back up from that because that's too heavy. You just got to scoot yourself up the bar, and the bar becomes more vertical. So you can lace your fingers the same. The setup's still the same. My knees are bent. I'm going to tuck my hips under me a little bit, take a big breath in through my nose to get air into my abdomen so my midsection's braced. I'm going to pivot over to my right, straight arm, come back out of that, pivot over to the left. Notice how my whole body is rotating around the leg that's going toward the side that the bar is going toward. So if the bar is going to the right, my body's pivoting around my right leg. If the bar is going to the left, my body's pivoting around my left leg. If that gets too easy, then we just scoot out toward the end where the bar is going to be the heaviest, because it's also horizontal, meaning there's more gravity working on the bar becomes heavier. If you get really strong, what you can do is add a weight, and that'll increase the resistance, thus increasing the difficulty.